Hi guys. Okay, I promised you about this bullying kind of like talk. I am going to try and make this as short as possible because I'm really not feeling too great at the moment. Um so my bullying had started out in 5th grade. You know, girls picking on girls. I had glasses, I had braces. It was, just it wasn't great. My 7th grade year, a guy who I really did not like at all, um, kept telling people I was dating him and starting rumors about me, which made everything worse on me. I confronted him about it, and I almost got killed for it. I was, I got beat up by him, and he choked me to the point where I couldn't breathe. I wasn't gonna say anything to my parents, but at the same time, I knew I had to because I didn't want to go to school. And as I had called my mom from school that day, and I called my dad, which they aren't together, so they haven't been together for years. I had called both of them, and I said, this guy's been picking on me. I didn't say anything because I thought it was gonna go away, and today he tried to kill me. And I went to the office and called because I think I had a cell phone at the time, but I didn't use it. And they came down right away. He rushed over there, and principals didn't believe me because there was no marks. The guy got to stay in the school, which was pretty bad because I had to finish out my rest of my middle school years with him still being there. And so that was hard. And ended up being called a snitch because of it, because I had said something. I had also said something about the girls who were bullying me at the same time because it just became too much, and they started picking on friends that I had, which wasn't fair because they didn't do anything. It was, between me and them, which I don't even know why they were upset with me. So that had ended. I got into a relationship with a guy who I was with off and on for a year. That ended, and then I moved on to high school. I had gotten into a relationship the beginning of my high school year. Didn't work out. It was not what I was expecting. And mind you, at this time, I didn't know what guys thought. I thought, okay, they think I'm pretty. This is great. Girls are going to get along with me. This is awesome. And I had met quite a few friends the summer before my freshman year because I had taken this thing in Stockton, where I live, called Sammy. And it is a dance and music program that goes through the high school I was attending. And I took the dance portion. Not just because it gave me a grade for part of my freshman year, but because I've danced since I was little. So I had made quite a few friends just based off of that, and getting to know people and stuff. So starting out my freshman year, I had some friends, which is pretty great for me because I didn't know anybody. I don't think anybody really knows anybody unless you live in a small town, and this town isn't small. I stayed friends with some of them. Some friends I did lose because I was falling downhill and they didn't want to be a part of it. I dated a guy, he was in a gang, and I hid that from my mom too because I didn't want her to judge him. And because I really cared for him. We were off and on, we argued a lot, and I think the end of our relationship came down to a girl who misunderstood something without asking anybody what the truth was about it. And my boyfriend and a guy who I call my brother because we were best friends at the time, I'm no longer friends with him. And one of my best friends who I'm still really good friends with. We went to the park like we had done every half day of school because A lot of our parents worked, and none of us could drive, so we went to the park. I thought it was just gonna be like any other day when we go to the park with each other. You know, we just hang out. You know, we're all just friends or whatever. And me and my boyfriend at the time had started arguing at the park. And it was nothing major, you know, it was just, you know, we were annoyed with each other at the minute. Or at that moment for a little bit. And I started to get kind of teary-eyed because I was mad. That's how I get when I'm really upset. And when my best friend went to her boyfriend who was on the other side of the park, I went to the girl who I thought was my best friend, who I later found out had arranged a fight that went on between my boyfriend at the time and the guy who I called my brother and some other gang members. I honestly thought she was my best friend until I had found out that I didn't know that she had started it at the beginning because, one, I was in shock. My boyfriend at the time was getting jumped, and he was bleeding, and the guy who called my brother was bleeding. It was just a mess. And then my other best friend had came to me, and she kept telling me to snap out of it. You know, we need to stop this. So I ran to my boyfriend because I didn't want him to get in trouble because we all heard the cop cars coming. So we had went. Yeah, I was trying to pull him away. It took me and my best friend to pull him away. He was pretty beaten up. Which was hard for me to see as his girlfriend, and knowing that I was there, and that it was supposed to be one girl who was my friend that caused it. I had later on that day found out and figured out that she was the one who arranged it. My mom was picking me up from school that day. She couldn't find me on school campus, which the park is right across from the school campus. And the guy who I called my brother, I must have missed a chunk because I just remember not seeing some parts of it. Maybe it's because I was in shock or what. But he came up to me, covering his nose, and I saw that he had a broken nose. Thank God it was just a broken nose. He didn't have any broken ribs. You know, his skull wasn't cracked because he was getting banged against a concrete bench that we had there. My boyfriend had a broken nose, a busted lip, and a few bruises. That was hard because he had to call, you know, his mom, which I mentioned. He is in a gang. Has been in a gang since I've known him. But I told him just to handle it on his own because I knew at that moment it was going to get worse. He didn't come to school. Neither did the guy who I called my brother because of their injuries. So, it was just me and one of my close friends, but she was with her boyfriend, you know, and I didn't exactly feel like connecting with people at that moment. So, I just kind of kept to myself, and I was very upset about it. So I confronted the girl and told her, you know, I asked her why she did it, and, you know, it just started something else that didn't need to be started, which could have been handled. We could have handled it on our own, but that's not the way she wanted to handle it. She decided to bring her older friends into it. So once again, it was maybe like a week later, I just let it go because I wasn't scared. It wasn't worth it. So that week later, my boyfriend had came back to school, or maybe it was after vacation because I think our classes changed. And I had told him, you know, that she had started it. And so he just said, you know, just ignore her. You know, we're not even going to go into it. And I told him, okay, that's fine. So it was lunchtime. He had skipped class to come to my lunch because there's 2 different lunches we had. And he came to my lunch to spend time with me just because I, wasn't really into talking to anybody. And as being bullied, that striked me, smoking marijuana, popping pills, and drinking, because it kind of made me feel worthless because I couldn't do nothing and I was still getting picked on. It was like middle school all over again. So he came back, and the same day he came back, her friends had confronted me again. And at this time, I had 2 of my friends with me. And they kept telling me, don't walk away from her. Finish it. But that wasn't me. I wasn't going to finish it because there was no point. So I told him, no. If she had a problem with me, she had to come to me herself. Not her friends, not whoever, not, anybody else. And so she wouldn't. So I told him there was no point in me arguing with them because there was no point in all of it. It had gotten, it was starting to get towards how I said, it was the end of my freshman year. And my boyfriend had quit coming, at the boyfriend time, I quit coming to school just because things got difficult for him. And, between me and him, things were just harsh. So he quit coming to school. And it was once again going back to me on my own with a couple of friends. And, sorry I keep pausing. It's hard to talk about this kind of stuff. So I attempted to move past it. It was finally summer. Me and my boyfriend began to have more problems when summer started just because, we didn't exactly have time for each other. He was going back and forth out of town, so was I. And, we tried to make as much time as we could for each other. And sophomore year started. I hardly saw him as he didn't come to school. And at this time, one of my older cousins was taking me to school. And so, she just kept telling me to keep my head up and it was going to be fine. And I just wanted my sophomore year to go fine because I was honestly getting great grades. I was being a straight A student. I wasn't failing. Even the classes that were the hardest for me, I was not failing. So I was, hopeful I could get my grade up and finish high school. At least at that high school. I had brought up to a principal that the bullying had reoccurred. The girl had came back. I had a couple more friends who I became closer with due to me and my boyfriend at the time. And so we were really, I became closer with some other friends. Lost touch with ones that I had freshman year. And those girls they really watched out for me. There was a day when my cousin had just dropped me off, and I didn't see any of my friends, so I didn't go to class early. Well, class hadn't even started, but usually I go early. But I just remember them coming up to me and saying, we need to go. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, where are we going to go? Because it was still really early. And they had told me that they had heard one of the girls saying that she had a weapon on her and that she was going to come after me. I called my cousin back and I said, can you come back to the school and get me? I called my mom. I let her know what was happening. The school automatically went on lockdown because there was multiple students who had weapons on them at the time. My mom and cousin had argued with the principal about, just taking me out of the school, and they kept saying no, that it'd be better if I stayed there. And which I didn't think was fair because, it was just that a lot of the principals there were rude. Just point blank rude. And they didn't understand any students. And they had favoritism, which I completely hate because you don't favoritism a student, especially if they're getting picked on. It's just stupid. And so, I had went back to school. Oh, when I left school that day, so I left after, we had a confrontation with, or conference with my mom, my cousin, me, and a couple of the principals. We had like 5. And that same day, the girl who said that she was going to come after me was being arrested for having a knife on her. So that just threw off my sophomore year. I mean, she wasn't in school. Some of the girls had gotten suspended. I knew that since I had opened my mouth, that it was going to get worse for me. So I kind of just, I just shut down on everybody. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to be friends with anybody. I just wanted to finish school. So I was getting great grades in my classes. I wasn't talking to anybody. I was still with my boyfriend at the time. Around that time, I was still finishing out some of my school. And the girls had came back. And they knew that it was me who said something, because I was the one that they were looking for. I didn't want to bring anybody else into it. And I was honestly going to take it. I knew it was going to come down to me getting jumped or worse. But I had tried to sneak my phone again and call my mom, because I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be at that school at all. I didn't like the teachers. I didn't like the principals. I didn't like some of the students there. And I had gotten caught with my phone where we weren't supposed to have our phones on campus. And so I got sent to the principal's office, and I was up for suspension, which I told them wasn't fair because I was doing it for a good reason. And they kept telling me to say the reason, and I didn't want to say it because I had already made things pretty bad. But I ended up having to say it, not just because I didn't want to get suspended, but because I knew that would go on my school record. And I had been suspended 2 times my freshman year, 2 or 3 times my freshman year, and I was in, a lot of trouble. So I was just going to take it, and I told them why. They brought the girl in and told her that she had to stay away from me. And she stayed away from me, but her friends didn't. So they continued to pick on me and bully me. And it took to the point where I told my mom, that it came down to me wanting to commit suicide, which was hard for my mom to hear, but I didn't want to go through it anymore. I was always being picked on, always, being bullied. And it's hard getting bullied, especially if you got bullied for so long. And so I had, my mom had taken me out of the school. I had dealt with another principal. He helped me find a new school as well. So I began at a new school. And at that school, there was a girl who I did not get along with. I was on home study, so I was doing homeschooling. And when I went to see that girl, she became friends with one of my cousins. So I told my cousin to stay away from her just because she was trouble. The girl found that out. She wasn't happy, which I really didn't care because I was like, it's me being, looking out for my cousin because I didn't want her to go through what I went through with that girl. And so it went back to, I was doing really good in my classes, again, on home study. And they said I was falling behind, which made no sense to me because I was acing all my classes. And they had said that, if she doesn't bring her grade up, that she will not be able to stay here. So I left that school. I think it was already towards the end of the year. I had left that school. It was summertime. I had waited, and I was sick in between this time too. And I went to another school. I went to an alternative school, not because I was horrible or anything like that. Just because at the time, being sick, it was easier, and I knew quite a few people there that I was friends with. So I knew I wasn't gonna have any problems there. But I ended up having problems with the school staff. The school staff was bullying me. So that got into my mom and my dad coming to school with me and saying that, that they were putting their foot down, that they were failing me because I was sick. Simple as that. I came to school after a procedure one time, and I still did all my work, and I was in pain. And, they wouldn't give me my grades. They kept saying I was failing, and I was like, okay, how am I failing when I've done these classes before and I've aced them? And at my previous school, when I left my first school, they didn't give me my grades either. They put it as a fail because I left before the school semester was over, which wasn't fair because I knew I was going to be starting at a new school right at that moment. And so I had already been broken up with that boyfriend that I had at that moment. And then I went to the alternative school. I went to an academy, and then I went to an alternative school. And that was one class a day, and it was for like 2 hours. So it was, easy for me being sick and having one-on-one with my teachers. The teacher kept bullying me and saying that I was wrong. What had happened with that was I had confronted her because I had done a math problem over and over again, and I kept getting the same answer. And she said it was wrong. So I asked her to do it, and she did it, and my answer was correct, and it was wrong in the book. So since that day, she completely, failed me. So I said, you know what? I'm done with that class. I want to move on to a new teacher. I stayed there my whole junior year of high school. And I got picked on by teachers at every high school that I went to. Just because I actually spoke my mind about things that were true and told them when they were wrong. So it's not just kids bullying kids, it's also teachers bullying kids. And it's adults bullying adults. I'm 19, and there's still people who like to talk about me. So my junior year, I'd switched to science. I had aced my science classes completely. And then they wanted me to do history, and I didn't want to do that because I've never taken history, which they couldn't believe. They didn't believe me. They said that I was lying about it, and I told them, no, I wasn't. I really haven't taken history. So I went to English, and I had an awesome English teacher, and I aced all my, the classes that I took at the time. The end of the school year, they told me it wasn't enough. Which didn't make sense to me or my mom or my dad, because the school said they were going to help me out as much as they could, and I even did extra credit to help, boost my grades. And they failed me. So my senior year in high school, I got sicker. My depression had gotten worse, and I was done with school. I didn't want to go, so my mom didn't blame me. My dad didn't blame me. Nobody blamed me. So I didn't go. I stayed home. I didn't really do anything my senior year. I didn't go out with friends, really. I just practically stayed home. And this last school year was my senior year. I didn't go. I didn't graduate. I am now getting my GED, which I don't have a problem saying because I went through a lot in high school. Not just being bullied, I was sick. I had no control over that. So I am now getting my GED. I'm studying for it to take it this upcoming year in January. And then I will be starting at my local community college for nursing. Sorry. So that's exciting for me to look forward to. I think, because the scary thing about me going to community college is some of the people who are going there are a lot of the people who I don't get along with. And I just want my college experience to be easy. I want to be able to finish my, schooling, getting my AA, getting my nursing degree, getting my bachelor's in nursing and psychology, and finishing. But my senior year, my depression went downhill. I had to confess to my mom that I attempted to commit suicide, which broke her heart. Obviously, it broke my heart seeing her like that, but that I felt like that was my only way out. So I had just, after that I just kept to myself because I figured I'm hurting more people than I want to. My depression continued to get worse. I had started to see psychiatrists, I started to see psychologists, and it still wasn't making it any easier on me because I also had family problems with my dad and stuff, and it was just difficult. So my senior year had ended. It was around time for me to start college, and I obviously couldn't because I didn't graduate. I had again tried to commit suicide, but this time I had said it to my mom before I did it, knowing that she would catch me. Because I think deep down in everybody's mind, they don't want to do it, but that feels like it's the only way out, especially if you've been through so much. So I had said it to her, and she had took me to the hospital, and the person who came to see me said, this just has to do with family issues and, her past, that it didn't have anything to do with me being completely suicidal, not at all. So, he was really motivating, and then I had also had a nurse there who was also really motivating. She actually suggested I start a YouTube channel or a blog or something to help other kids or teens or adults or anybody if you're getting bullied. Just say something. It's not worth hiding it. It really isn't, because it weighs you down and it breaks you. And to this day, I still see a psychiatrist and a psychologist because I can't go without seeing them quite yet, due to the fact that I also have, besides depression and anxiety, I have PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, which a lot of people think only soldiers who come back from war have, which isn't true. I had PTSD from being bullied and problems I had with my dad, and me not ever saying anything about it. I had brought in my dad into a therapy session. I brought my mom into one too. But I brought my dad into a therapy session with me, and my therapist got to see the real him. The angry him who liked to yell and disagree and, didn't believe me, that it was practically all my fault. And he said a few hurtful things, which it broke me, because I felt unwanted by my own dad, which was hard because, I'm an only child, so it's kind of hard growing up without a dad. But I am also very grateful that I have my grandfather, who has been like a dad to me. He's always been by my side in supported me and helped me, you know, and he always comes over and keeps telling me to keep my head above water, that everything's gonna be fine. I'm sorry, I'm starting to cry. And that, you know, I could get through anything. I began taking classes for my depression and PTSD. And in that time, I gotten really sick again, and I had to stop. They said I was doing really good. I'd stopped my classes, getting sick and everything. I had, my suicidal thoughts had came back because I was sick for so long, and I didn't want that life anymore. I wanted it out completely. So I told my mom, and we went back to my psychiatrist. You know, I've tried meds after meds after meds, and it was heartbreaking for me because I wanted a way out, but I also knew if I took the way out that I wanted, I was gonna hurt more people in the process than what I wanted. The week that I had attempted to commit suicide, I had lost 2 of my aunts in 1 week, which changed my mind on suicide. At that time, it had changed my mind. So I kept trying, you know, just keep my head up and not, you know, put myself down, because that was one of my biggest issues, was I was putting myself down, which I still do to this day, which is horrible. But I had also let people who said they were my best friends bring me down and control me to the point where I didn't even notice it. At that time again, I was a few weeks or 2 or 3 weeks after my aunts had passed, and I had began to think of suicide again because my dad didn't want me, like I wasn't his daughter, which was unfair because he has a new family, his girlfriend's kids, and so he pretty much cut me off from my second family, which to me wasn't fair because I'm really close with my grandmother on my dad's side, really close. So my birthday was on December 16th. 2 days before my birthday, I had told my mom I wanted to commit suicide again. Knowing that my 19th birthday was going to be really hard on me because I didn't plan to make it this far. I really didn't. You know, I didn't plan this far ahead. And that broke my mom's heart because, you know, we thought I could get through it, but it just continued to get worse and worse. And they understand why I wanted to do it, because I was so sick and I was tired of being sick, and, you know, I was just tired of everything. I didn't want, you know, I didn't think this was like what life was going to be about. I missed out on my whole year being 18 due to being sick. And suicide had just stayed on my mind. I mean, today's the 18th or 19th, and things are still hard for me. And, you know, as I said before, it's a day-by-day thing for me. Not just being sick, but with my depression and everything. People do not understand why I think the way I do. My family does not understand the way I think the way I do. But then again, none of them have been through what I've been through. So yeah, I know this went from bullying to suicide, but this is what bullying comes down to. It comes down to teens, adults, anybody wanting to commit suicide. don't try to commit suicide. I know I may bring it up and say, that it's hard for me. But at the end of the day, I really don't want to. That's why I say it out loud, because I know that my mom will stop me, which I'm very blessed that she's always stopped me. Because she always reminds me that she can't live a day without me, and so does my grandpa, because, they're my closest family. And they always remind me, that each day, is going to be difficult, but I can get through it no matter what, and I can be happy at one time too. So don't go to committing suicide. I mean, even if you're having a hard time at home, there's so many people you can reach out to for help, not just, going to commit suicide. Because honestly, committing suicide isn't going to help anything. But one of my doctors had said to me, my psychologist had said, what about the kids that you wanted to help? If you're not around, who's going to help them? That also changed my outlook, because it was true. I am very devoted to being, helping people. And who was going to do it? And who was going to do what I could do if I committed suicide? So what I'm trying to get across is that suicide isn't your way out. No matter how hard things get, it's not your way out at all. I think there's always somebody there will always be somebody you can talk to. Whether it's writing me on, Facebook or Twitter or whatever, or on here. I'm here to listen to you guys. Because I know what it's like to feel like there's nobody there to listen to you. And I will do my best that I can to help you get help, because it's not just a one person thing. It really isn't. I have friends that listen to me. I have some family members that listen to me. I have doctors that listen to me. And to me, it still doesn't feel like it's enough. But if I can save somebody's life through this video by convincing them that it's not worth killing themselves, I will do it. Because this isn't your way out. You have so much more to live for. Even if it's, it's not bullying. Maybe you're having problems at home. There is people who you can go to. Whether it's at your school, if you don't want to go, if you're not attending school, you don't want to go to school. There are websites also that can help. If you just Google bullying or help with bullying, they will give you websites or numbers to text or phone numbers to call. There's also the suicide hotline that there is. Every October is Bullying Awareness Month, so I plan on October, this upcoming October 2014, I plan on bringing in some of my friends from where I live, and some other YouTubers, if I can get any of you guys to help me out in October, to help put a stop to it, because there's kids that are, 7, 8, 9, up till my age or older, who are committing suicide because they can't go to anybody. And it's horrible. Because I know for a fact, I have friends who have kids. I have a friend who has a kid on the way. And, I wouldn't imagine that any of them would want that. I wouldn't want that for my kids. I don't have any right now, but even, when I have kids in the future, I wouldn't want them to go through that. Because bullying isn't anything that you want somebody to go through. It's not fair. If you have a problem with somebody, at least talk it out. Don't go to using words that are gonna hurt. Don't go to using violence. Don't go to using drugs or alcohol or any of that, because it's not gonna get you anywhere. It's just gonna make you fail. But yeah, I want you guys to know that, there's always somewhere else to turn to if you feel like you have nobody to turn to. But this is just my story. This is my bullying story as to where I am from 5th grade to now. I've made it a long way. I am still fighting my depression and my anxiety and my PTSD. But that's not something that could be cured overnight. I just started to get help. I don't even think it's been a year. So I just recently started to get help. And it helps having somebody to talk to. Especially if it's not, if it's not your mom or your dad or whatever. It helps to have somebody's ear that doesn't know your story to listen. Because they can get a better idea of, like for psychologists, for instance, which is another thing I want to become besides a nurse, is that, I may not know your backstory unless you want to tell me it, but either way, I will not know your whole life story. It would take anybody years to tell your whole life story. But my doctors are still getting to know more about me. I'm only willing to open up so much time at a time. Because there are some things that I have to debate whether or not to say. Not because my doctors don't judge me, but because I know that I will have to say it to whether it's my mom, my family, or, friends or whatever, that I'm going to have to say it. But yeah, I want you guys to know that I'm here for you guys, any of you. If you want to write me or anything, I will try and start a P.O. box. If you guys would like that, let me know. I will start a P.O. box. You guys can write me letters. I will write you back, or email you back or anything. My email is carmeegirl, CARMEEGIRL 94@AOL.com. If any of you guys want to email me, just put on the subject bullying awareness or bullying or whatever. And you could tell me your story, or if you just want me to listen, I can listen. If you want advice, I could help try and give you as much advice as I can. But this is, like how I said, this is my story. And I still have a long way to go. But I'm not one to give up. I've put up a battle with being sick for almost 5 years now. I have not given up. I have gone through depression for longer than I thought I had, and I haven't given up. So the whole point is, it's not worth giving up. Because if you're a girl, you know that, in the future you may have kids, and you can help your kids out with it. Maybe you have a long-term goal of becoming, whether it's a nurse, a firefighter, a policeman, an astronaut. You guys can become anything you want. Set your mind to it, and you can become anything you want. Don't let what anybody else says have anything to do with it. Because at the end of the day, it's you who is gonna succeed and do what you have to do for your own family. Because at the end of the day, who's to say that they're gonna be there? And I'm guaranteeing a good percentage of them won't be there. You will end up with your family. If you end up getting married, your husband. And if you're not married or you get divorced, you have your kids. and your goal is to help others. All of our goals are to help others in so whatever way we can. My way is through helping advise other teens, and helping, and becoming a nurse, and helping. I'm planning on working pediatrics and helping, kids get through things and helping their family get through things. And that's just, that's all that I can do. But at least I will know that I put my best foot forward and I was able to try and help. So, this video is already really long. It's like 45 minutes. So I will end it here. Like I said, if you wanted me to get a P.O. box or anything, you can tell me and I will do it. Do not send me any packages because I won't accept them. Unless they're from other companies like bullying awareness companies or something. I would love to, I would love to help out as much as I can. So yeah. I left my email in here so you guys can try and email me. And just, you can share this video around as much as you want, because I'm sure there's millions and millions of people around the world who are going through the same thing I am. So I'm sending all my love and care to all you guys who are going through it, because I know it's hard, but just remember, you don't have to go through it alone at all. I am here. I may not be able to be physically there with you, but I am virtually, and I will, if I do meetups or anything, I will, try and talk to at least all of you. No, I guarantee I will talk to all of you, because I am not going to give up on any of you, as long as you guys promise not to give up on me. And, so yeah, I'm going to end the video here because I have a lot to do, because Christmas is coming up and I have done no Christmas shopping. So yeah, have a very amazing day. And just remember, tomorrow is always a new day and you can get through anything. That's a promise. So don't give up on yourself, You're all amazing and beautiful, and you're all here for a reason. Don't let that reason go to waste. So have a blessed day or an amazing day or whatever. Yeah, I don't know how to end this, but thank you guys for listening to my story. I will be glad to hear your stories, and I love you, and have a great day. Bye.